So right now, if you're listening to us and you are working a full-time job and you're thinking, how on earth do I do this? Just remember, you're in the same boat as we were when we first started our e-commerce businesses.
Today, we're tackling a big question that's on the mind of many aspiring entrepreneurs, and it's whether you can start dropshipping alongside a busy full-time job. Lewis, this is something that many people I know are curious about, given their busy schedules today.
Yeah, absolutely. It's balancing a job between launching a business is definitely something we hear a lot of members asking about. It can seem quite daunting, but I think with the right strategies deployed in the right way, it's definitely not only possible, but it could also be quite manageable as well if done right.
Absolutely. Big opportunity there and possible, I believe, but we're going to dive into the specifics and how you should approach it if you want to start a business alongside a full-time job. So, Lewis, can you break down for us then whether you think it's possible to start alongside a dropshipping business, and also whether you think it's well suited for those in a full-time job?
Yeah, absolutely. I think firstly, the thing to mention is that dropshipping doesn't require the same kind of time investment as a traditional retail business. It would be very hard to say I'm working a full-time job and I'm going to open a traditional retail business on the side, because you'd physically have to be present in both of those places. But I know when I first started, I'd wake up early mornings and before my day at work would begin, I'd go to the gym. I'd sit in this hotel lobby after the gym and I'd just work on the tasks in my business, handling customer inquiries, updating my product listings. And it kind of felt like this secret project that I was working on myself, and I was nurturing this business and going to bring it to life. And that was one day going to be my future. And I used to think back then about why I was doing it, and it was so that I could support my family, so we could travel the world at the drop of a hat and like take my children, who didn't exist at the time, to the other side of the world and go on these amazing trips and just have complete freedom to do whatever we want in the week and walk around London without a care in the world. And it took a few years, but then those things start to come true, and suddenly you have children, suddenly you are in a family, and the business is the thing that supports you. And so it's funny, like watching it go full circle. I was back at that time still working a job. I'd get home from work, have a dinner at home, and then I'd work late into the evenings, dedicating my time to finding products, refining the ad campaigns that I was working on. And it was a lot of hustle. It was really grinding it out and knowing that every one of those small steps that I took was intentional. It was bringing me closer to financial freedom, and I just remained motivated because of that. So I know that if you are working a 9-to-5 job in the week and you don't have much free time, the weekends are probably going to become your most productive time. So what I certainly did when that was the case for me was batch my tasks, whether it be like content creation for blog posts or product descriptions, things like that, inventory checks, stock, like customer service tickets, things like that. I would try and make the most of that time initially before I'd hired a virtual assistant, and really have an initial push of just front loading that work to build the business. You are effectively working 2 full-time jobs at the same time when you start, but it's only to get it up and running. It's basically to get it to the point where it's profitable enough to hire a virtual assistant so that you then don't have to do that stuff, and it then becomes someone is working there for your business full-time. So right now, if you're listening to us and you are working a full-time job and you're thinking, how on earth do I do this? Just remember, you're in the same boat as we were when we first started our e-commerce businesses. So you can handle all of the business tasks that you need to during your off hours. It is possible. Yes, you have to batch it and use some techniques from the 4-hour work week to really leverage your time. But I know when I speak to our masterclass members now, I know many of the people who are in that program who are succeeding started out by spending just a couple of hours per day on their business, managing their store, because that's all they could commit to it at the time. And only then did they scale it up beyond evenings and weekends. And once they'd matched or they'd beaten their income, then it's time to start thinking about, okay, I've hired a virtual assistant. Now, potentially with a few months of stable income from this business, I could start to think about leaving my full-time job and experiencing the freedom that a business like this really affords you.
And that's a very exciting time when you know that you've built something for yourself that then matches and beats your income. And then you've got the choice of whether you want to stay in that job or leave it. But crucially, like you say, so many people are starting alongside a full-time job. And that should give people confidence that it is possible. You just have to be clever about it, I think, in certain ways. But the way that I approached it, I knew that all the time I was spending on my 9 to 5 job, so I was working for that company, that housing association, that 9 to 5 corporate job that I was doing. And then every hour that I could carve out for my own business and starting my own e-commerce business, I knew and treated that as time for my future self. I knew that that time invested was actually for my own business, my own company, that would then pay me back for months and years to come. So it's knowing that, having that really strong reason why that Lewis, you alluded to, knowing that you're going to be providing for children on the way that weren't even existing yet. It gives out a really strong reason as to why you should hustle when you first get started and do the 2 jobs alongside each other before you've got your own business that will sustain you and provide a much better lifestyle. Certainly be the case for me.